We should be good, I think. Yeah, there's usually a little bit of delay from when it actually goes live and before it shows on LinkedIn. Okay, we're
Mm,
live.
great.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Tech is 15 Live by Immigrant Techies Network. We do this every Tuesday between 12:15 and 12:30 during your lunch. We just, you're probably biting into your sandwich or whatever and joining us just watching. It's a casual conversation. We bring in guests every week to people that are doing some work in the community, that are building solutions, building community, or just talking about their own careers as well. And we always have very cool people as our guests. And today, our cool person is Tim Chen from Untapped Energy. Welcome, Tim.
Oh, thank you, Wami. I'm delighted to be here and really impressed by all the work that you've been doing, particularly for the immigrant community. Being a child of immigrants, a lot of that mindset is built into what I have, and I don't take anything for granted. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, on that note, can you talk a little bit about yourself? You mentioned you're a child of an immigrant. How
Yes.
did that affect your career journey? Were you pushed hard? You know?
Yeah.
So a little bit
Well,
about you and the journey that has led you here.
absolutely. My father came to Canada when he was just 12 years old. And then my mom came shortly thereafter, really to seek a new life in Canada, and then also to be able to immigrate the rest of their family, which is who were based in China and in Hong Kong. And so growing up in Canada, I think afforded me some interesting perspectives. Certainly, growing up in the smaller part of Toronto really meant that typically I was the only minority within the school setting that I grew up in. Yet I'm very grateful that being in a country like Canada gave me the opportunity to be educated. I ended up going to
Mhm.
Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, where I completed a bachelor's degree in life sciences because at some point I thought that I would be a doctor.
Mm.
But as life is interesting enough, that didn't pan out. And so I found myself eventually working in energy. And so I started my energy career in Toronto, working for an electricity company. That then led me to move to Calgary back in 2005, where then I worked for EPCOR Utilities, which is the public utility company for the city of Edmonton. Shortly thereafter, I found myself working in accounting, despite not
Mm.
having any formal accounting training. And that's when I decided
That's
to complete
interesting.
an accounting designation. So I got my CPA, and then that's when I got the call from Suncor Energy, as they were looking for an accountant who had some energy background. And so for most of my career, I worked at Suncor Energy up until 2023 when I got caught up in the layoffs. So then I was no longer working there. But that's when I decided that I would start my own fractional CFO consulting practice, which is what I still do to this day. I'm also an instructor at Mount Royal University where I teach accounting.
I mean, it's awesome. I like it when I meet people who have touched many things and how much robust that makes you. Because when it comes to job search, job descriptions are narrowed. So they want to see you deep in one silo. But what I find is even though people think they are looking for a specialist, they appreciate hiring a generalist. They eventually appreciate all the other skill sets you brought that was not even what they asked for. So how has that served you? Having been an engineer, an accountant, and now an entrepreneur working for yourself, how has that served you?
You're absolutely right, Wenmi. It has served me really well. And I think I attribute that to a lot of curiosity. I guess I've always
Mm.
been a curious person. I've also been a little bit I guess, non-conventional. Typically, when people see smoke, they tend to run away. I guess I'm the type of person when I see smoke, I'm really curious about what's causing that. And
Hmm.
so that would lead me to try to figure that out. And that has worked really well in all aspects of my career. back in 2018, we were starting to hear a lot about data and data analytics and big data. That data was going to be the new oil. And
Mm-hmm.
so, as an accountant, I was thinking, well, how might that impact my current role? And what might I need to do to upskill myself in order to be better at data analytics? And that's what led me somewhat accidentally to becoming a co-founder of Untapped Energy. Untapped Energy is a registered nonprofit that upskills its members in data analytics and data science.
Mm-hmm. So that's an additional hat you wear,
Yes,
separate from being fractional CFO. Okay, let's talk a
absolutely.
little
Yeah.
bit because I know 15 minutes it will go by really fast. So let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about Untapped Energy.
Yes. Yes.
What led you to founding that, and what problem are you solving in the community?
Well, I was so amazed at how many oil and gas professionals were enthusiastic about wanting to solve some complex problems, particularly in the oil and gas industry, where there's always been challenges in terms of takeaway capacity, not enough pipelines, but also being in a sector where the value of your organization is dependent on commodity pricing. So there were a lot
Mm,
of really complex problems that oil and gas professionals needed to solve. And so what drew me to this community was just that you could learn these new superpowers, learning how to use data and analytics in order to solve some of these particular problems. And that's really how Untapped Energy started, was just a community of those who wanted to solve some big problems using data.
So who exactly do you support, the oil and gas companies or individuals?
Well, that's how it started, was in oil and gas, primarily professionals in oil and gas, like
Mm-hmm.
geologists, geophysicists, petroleum and reservoir engineers. But it also turns out that even accountants or lawyers or HR managers in oil and gas also have problems that can be solved with data. So it ends up that data literacy is actually a very transferable skill that all professionals need.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If you can explain that a little more. So what kind of
Sure.
exact support? Is it more like community building, people come together and crowd fund solutions, that kind of thing?
Well, people do come together because they want to solve a problem. And so we build community around that. Oftentimes, we have guest speakers come in to speak at our
Okay.
monthly meetups that
Mm-hmm.
share a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about how they've been able to solve problems. But we have also organized datathons. So these are multi-day or even multi-week events where teams
Mm-hmm.
come together and then they try to solve problems using data, almost like a bit of a hackathon. We also organize networking events so that professionals are able to build out their professional networks in the data space. And recently, we have started up a micro learning program. This is now where those who want to upskill themselves in a very targeted way for 60 to 90 minutes can register for a course whereby they hear about something that is very specific to an area within data, complete an evaluation, and then they can receive a verifiable credential for their learning.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. I feel like, yeah. Like I've seen Untapped Energy, but I've never really dug deep to know what you guys do. And as we talk now, I'm like, maybe there's an opportunity somewhere of partnering on something. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
it turns out that data literacy is a important skill for all professionals to have. And I think
absolutely.
especially
Mm-hmm.
those that are new immigrants or those that are settling into the workspace here, it is one of those things that can really help to draw insights from the organization's data and to help with better decision making. And even
Mm-hmm.
more so now that there's so much focus on artificial intelligence, a lot of those algorithms really depend on people knowing the data, knowing where the data is, and how clean and structured the data is.
Yeah, and even analyzing the market for your own career. Like, yeah, like
Yeah,
there's so many personal use cases as well for that
absolutely.
knowledge. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. So you've had a few pivots. So you started as an engineer, and then like I'm so interested in how the accounting thing happened. Like how did you fall into accounting from being an engineer and then
Well,
went ahead to get trained? Like
well,
that's quite interesting.
I guess I had my own immigration story as well too. But moving from Toronto to Calgary, they moved me
Right,
here
right,
to
right,
be
right.
a power trader. So that was the job that I took on. But it turned out that I'm not a very good trader. So they moved me into what's called the back office of the organization, where the invoicing and the settlements occur. Well, it turns
Mm,
out that I was actually really good in that area, dealing with numbers and understanding how to translate the numbers into business insights and processes. But I could see that my progression would be somewhat limited without an accounting designation. And so at that point, that's when I decided that it'd be worthwhile to go and pursue an accounting designation. So that's how I accidentally became an
mhm.
accountant.
No, that's
Yeah.
super, super interesting. Do you wish you had done accounting in university to start with?
It's very interesting, Wemi, because when we look back on our lives, we can see the steps that were needed in order to get us to where we are.
Mm,
But
true.
as life is unfolding, you don't really have the ability to look into the future that clearly. So what has worked for me is just always being curious, being open to trying different things, and always establishing a strong network community.
Mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm.
especially when you're starting on something where you don't know the answers to, it's really important to have a connection with those who might know the answers and that can support you in a way.
Especially now that things are changing so fast, there is no
Yes.
certainty in any industry.
No.
So it becomes super important to be nimble, to be mentally nimble,
Yes.
like ready to learn, ready to pivot, ready to transfer skills learned in one domain into
Mm,
another because nothing is guaranteed.
absolutely. And there's a little bit of humility that's in that as well, too, what you just described, Wendy, because when you can say, well, you know what, I don't know the answer, and I'll admit that, but I'm willing to learn, you'll often find that people are very generous with their time and
Hmm.
they're willing to share their information. That has been my experience here in Calgary. It's been just very fabulous with so many generous people.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think it's a little bit unique to Calgary.
Mm.
Because yeah, I mean Canadians are nice in general, but
Oh, yes.
I think Calgarians we lead in that. Because I've
Yeah.
heard people talk about maybe Toronto or some places else and they found it strange that we have communities like Rainforest, Alberta, where you leave
Yes.
work and go attend community and it's
Yes.
part of your job, kind of. Like nobody expects you to take time off to
Yes.
attend community events, and they found that strange when I talked about that.
It is a
So
fabulous feature of
yeah.
Calgary. Having spent time in both Toronto and Vancouver, I can definitely testify to the fact that people are so generous with their time here. There's also a bit of a
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurial mindset. I think
True.
so people realize that the only way to succeed is you need to do it together. And so it ends
Through
up
community.
making for great, yeah, community and great network connections.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to add that I did not ask or any last thoughts?
Well, certainly, you mentioned that we do live in a very uncertain time. There's a lot of volatility, and I do empathize with those that are maybe new to Calgary or even new to Canada. It may seem like the challenges are insurmountable, but if anything, I just want to give a message of encouragement and hope that yes, it can be a little bit tough, but there are people that are supporting you, like Wenmi and her organization. There are people that are so willing to be able to spend the time to share a little bit of their own perspectives and their
Hmm.
experiences to help you along. So don't give up.
Thank you for that. That's totally timely. And where can people find you? If people want to connect with you,
Mm.
what's the best way?
The best way is on LinkedIn. So maybe Wendy, if you want to send my profile, or you can tag me, and I'm happy to socialize that through my network as well.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Hmm.
reach out to me through LinkedIn. Happy to hear your story, share a little bit of my story as well.
Awesome. And if people want to get involved with Untapped Energy,
Yeah, absolutely. Even just check us out at www.untappenergy.ca. That will take
okay.
you to our landing page. Our next micro learning course will happen later this month on October 23rd at Platform Calgary. We are a community partner of Platform Calgary, so that's typically where we hang out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tim. I
You're
really enjoyed
welcome.
this conversation, but yeah, we try to keep it to time so people can
For
get
sure.
on with their lunch.
Yeah. Well, thank you for
Thanks
having
everyone
me
for
here
joining
on
us.
this. And thank
Yeah,
you to
thank
everyone.
you.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your lunch.
All right. Bye now.
Okay. Bye bye.